Hello, my name is Ed Krauss. I am the author of 3 novels, Solomon the Accountant, Here on Moon, A Story of Bad. I will briefly describe them and read an excerpt from Solomon. Solomon the Accountant takes place in a middle-class Jewish neighborhood in Toledo, Ohio in 1950. Solomon, a CPA in his 20s, is asked by a funeral home to help them with a tax problem. When he arrives, he learns that a funeral will be starting shortly. It is for a young man Solomon's age, Darren Mannion, married less than a year, who died in a motorcycle accident. Although he does not know the families, Solomon feels he must offer his condolences before starting work on the taxes. He goes to where the parents and widow, Molly, are seated and begins moving down the sad line. When he gets to Molly, she is crying, her eyes almost swollen closed. Solomon looks at her face and falls in love. This is the story of Solomon's gentle, careful pursuit of Molly. It is full of family love and friendships with a touch of Yiddish. I will be reading from the novel in just a moment. Here on Moon is about Carol, who finds herself suddenly confronted by an unwanted divorce. She tries to save the marriage but fails, and moves into the future with help from a counselor, a supportive friend, and a woman's circle. This is a story about losing love and looking for love, about becoming a single parent, about single again dating, the story of a woman who perseveres with newfound spirit. A Story of Bad takes place in modern Queens, New York. A murder has been committed, and Terry, a detective, and June, a reporter, are both investigating. As the mystery deepens, Terry and June start working together, sharing clues. Eventually, they start a romance. A Story of Bad is about ethics and confidentiality rules for police departments and newspapers, as 2 separate people with separate career demands are caught up in the same mystery and caught up in each other's lives. Solving the murder takes the reader into the worlds of police departments and newspapers, fashion and clothing factories, and the Cambodian experience in America. And now, an excerpt from Solomon. Mrs. Molly Mannion had told her mother-in-law that she planned on waiting until the unveiling of Darren's stone, 11 months, before taking off her rings. But now she was dating, really dating, and it seemed time to put them aside. So on a Wednesday evening, Molly sat in her living room. In her lap was a tiny jewelry case made of fine inlaid wood, not much larger than a pillbox. She opened it and looked at the soft, dark blue velvet inside, waiting to hold something precious. After a long moment, without looking down, she moved her right hand to her left and worked the engagement ring back and forth until it came off. She laid it gently, almost reverently, on the velvet. Then she did the same with her wedding band. When both were safely tucked inside, she looked at them, touched them once more with a brushing motion, then softly closed the box. Her eyes glistened, but she did not cry. Molly drew in a deep, ragged breath and let it out slowly, unevenly. Suddenly she stood up and carried the case into her bedroom. Opening her dresser, she moved aside slips, panties, and bras and came to the letters, the love letters from Darren, tied with a ribbon. She put the case next to the letters and moved the clothing back over them, the letters and case disappearing under cotton and silk. Then she turned to her bed, on which sat two sturdy corrugated boxes with Russian Jewish relief effort printed on them, in English, Russian, and Yiddish, the latter spelled with Hebrew characters. The lids lay nearby. The boxes were empty, waiting, as the jewelry case had been. Another deep breath. Then Molly walked the few steps to the closet and began taking a man's clothes out and carefully folding and packing them in the boxes. Darren's clothes. Now the tears came, softly spilling on the material, then on the box lids as she closed the boxes. By Sunday, when the volunteer from Jewish Family Services came to pick up the boxes, the tears would long ago have dried, leaving just a few faint marks. Suddenly exhausted, Molly moved the boxes off the bed and against the wall, then lay down to rest a moment and fell sound asleep, still clothed, the light shining on her and on the boxes bound for people far, far away.